So I recently listed an auction on eBay, and I had put in the details to not try to scam me because I was familiar with all the methods used. And to my surprise, I received messages the next day asking about some of those methods used to help people that were either going to be selling in the future or currently selling avoid the scams and some of the fraud that happens on eBay. So I decided to make this video. The number one method of prevention for avoiding scams is to configure your buyer management section. Your buyer management section lets you restrict non-payers, people with low feedback score, and repeat purchasers. So non-payers is an obvious one that you'd want to restrict, someone that has either forced an auction to be canceled by not paying, etc. Low feedback score is a toss-up. When you're selling high-end items, low feedback score, most of the time, more than half the time I would say, at least in my experience, those are fraudulent accounts, but not all the time. So you kind of have to use common sense and do a little investigating. But I, by default, will set for anybody with 5 or less feedback rating to go ahead and restrict those buyers from bidding in my auction. Now, if somebody was really serious about buying from me, they would just send me a message, and then obviously I can modify the blocked buyer list, and I can allow them to bid if after doing my due diligence they actually pass some of the criteria I have. When you're looking at low feedback score, even sometimes 5 doesn't help. Sometimes people know that there's a 5 restriction, so they get 6 to 10 or 6 to 15 feedback. If the account is new or the feedback is probably 15 or below, go ahead and just click on the user profile. Look back through their feedback. You can detect a scam pretty easily. They will have like 15 feedback from the same seller, and it'll be like for a dollar item or some type of crap item, or just like maybe 1 or 2 sellers, and it's all the same stuff. That's very indicative that you're about to get scammed. If the account is older and they got feedback from a year ago, 6 months ago, and maybe they only have 3 or 4 feedback and they're from different companies, it could be a valid account. So keep that in mind. But I sell graphics cards and high-end items, and most of the time the low feedback score is a no-go for me. But it doesn't mean that they're all bad. Repeat purchasers is another thing that you can restrict. Why would you restrict repeat purchasers? Well, if someone's going to scam you, they're going to buy the most items they can off one account. Maybe they have a stolen credit card, a different payment method, and then they're going to switch and buy another few items from you off of another payment method. So if someone used an account to buy with you in the last 10 days, you can restrict that so they can't buy again. It's a good safety precaution. Doesn't always mean that they are trying to scam you. Could be someone had a credit card in the max of 500 and then they had another credit card. It could be a legitimate purchase, but again, they will message you if they're interested. So you can restrict repeat purchasers. There are active methods of prevention besides the automatic. So obviously you're going to review feedback on the account. You're going to review the account age. The big one is to message the buyers. Most times when they're fraud or scam accounts, they either do not make any sense when they respond, if they respond. Most of the times they won't respond. Even when they go ahead and submit for a refund to scam you, they won't even respond. You may try to resolve the problem thinking, good customer service, I'll resolve this problem, let's take care of it. They won't respond. So messaging the buyers and getting a response, or messaging potential buyers and getting a response is a big step in determining whether or not it's a fraudulent account. Another thing you can actively do is you can manage the bidders and actually remove bids. Now, both the links to the buyer management section and canceling bids will be in the description. Just briefly, to get to the buyer management section from a web browser, I don't know if you can get there from your phone, I'm sure somehow too, if you have the app. But in the top left, you'll log in, you go to your account settings, and below selling, you'll see, I think, selling preferences. Under buyers, you'll click edit block buyer list, and that will let you set all the parameters for your automatic rejection of bids or purchases. So that brings me to the core of why I have made this video and what type of scams I've seen. So as a seller, I'll start off with that. There's 2 main scams that I've seen. The first one is they'll start a return, and if you're familiar with eBay, you have to respond to the return, accept the return, because they'll list it as item defective or not as described. And if you don't respond to that, eBay will just refund the money automatically without your inputs. So you have to respond to the return, accept the return. The one thing that I've seen them do is they will ship an empty box to the wrong address in your city without providing you tracking information. So you'll have the return started, accepted, they won't give you the tracking information. They will ship an empty box to your city. They will provide that tracking information to eBay. Once it's delivered, they will wait the 2 or 3 days, whatever it is, and demand a refund from eBay. eBay will give them a refund, and you'll be left trying to figure out what happened. You'll eventually get eBay will turn over the tracking number to you. You can take that down to your post office or your shipping provider, and they will basically tell you what I just said, that they sent the wrong item because the box doesn't weigh what it did when you shipped it out, not even close, that it couldn't contain a graphics card or whatever it is that you have in it, and it's not your name on the shipping label. So that is how they delay it, so they can get the refund. And I've had that process take like a month. One case was 2 months, where I went back and forth, and even though I got it reversed, they got it reversed back, and I think I did that like 4 times before I finally won the case. It's just a hassle you don't want to deal with, and you'll be without that money for quite some time possibly. The second thing that I've seen them do is they will provide you a tracking number, but they will ship from either a warehouse or a distribution center or someplace not in the state or location that you shipped your package to. They'll give you a tracking number, and in a few days or whatever, you'll receive a package disguised as an Amazon package. You'll get a package that looks like it's from Amazon. It's not your graphics card. It's not the item that you were expecting returned, so you don't relate it to that eBay claim. Instead, you may spend time like I did, contacting Amazon saying, I didn't order this, I don't know what this is from. All dead ends. Turns out that they faked an Amazon package being sent back to you as a return, so that you waited the 2 or 3 days again without, inspecting your package and reporting the problem, and it ended up that was the tracking number they provided to eBay, so they demand a refund. Well, then you're like, well, the tracking number that they gave me is actually the tracking number of this Amazon package. It's not the package, it's not the item that I shipped them. It came from a whole different state, and you'll deal with that, and that could take up to a month, 2 months of the reverse process back and forth, trying to figure out what happened. So as a seller, that's one scam I've seen. Now as a buyer, I've seen one main thing that they do is where they will ship the item to your state, maybe, but it won't be in the right city, and it'll show out for delivery and delivered, and you'll be like, where's my package? It didn't even go to the right place. I'm guessing by that time they've already got their money, so even though I got my money back from eBay right away, they probably ran off with their money and they're fine with that scam. I'm not really sure how you avoid that. I guess if the offer seems too good to be true, or if it's coming from an overseas, you got to be really, really careful. Not always, but you got to be careful and make sure it's actually a valid thing. Don't bid or buy anything that's well below like the low priced next item. If something's $200 less on a $500 item and that's the only one selling, that might be a good sign. So if you have any other scenarios that you've been in, or any other advice that you can offer, go ahead and leave comments below. You can like, subscribe. Hopefully you don't get scammed after watching this.